They thought I was broken. They thought I had nothing left. And the day I buried my husband, they thought they had already won. But they had no idea that my silence was just the beginning. The funeral ended, but something inside me didn't. It didn't cry anymore. It didn't beg anymore. It just watched. People hugged me, whispered fake sympathy. But behind those eyes, I saw calculation. I saw curiosity. I saw people already dividing my life into pieces. And then came the moment. The moment that changed everything. My own son stood in front of me. Not with tears. Not with love. But with expectation. "Mom, you should move out now. The house is mine." No hesitation. No emotion. Just a demand. In that second, something inside me went quiet. Not weak. Not shattered. Just clear. Crystal clear. I realized something most people learn too late. The people you sacrifice for are sometimes the first ones to replace you. But I didn't react. I didn't argue. I didn't fight. Because when people think you've lost, that's when they stop watching closely. And that's your power. What he didn't know was that I had already started preparing, long before this day. And what I was about to do would change everything. Silence scares people. Because they don't know what you're thinking. And that's exactly why I stayed quiet. Everyone assumed I was helpless. A grieving widow. A woman with no direction. But what they didn't see were the years I spent learning, saving, building, quietly. While they were busy living loudly, I was building silently. Every late night. Every sacrifice. Every decision was shaping a future no one knew about. You see, real power doesn't announce itself. It grows in the dark. The day I left that house, I didn't take much. Just a suitcase. And my self-respect. Because sometimes you don't leave empty-handed. You leave with clarity. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. No calls. No apologies. No realization. And honestly, that silence from them was the best answer I could ever receive. Because it showed me the truth. I was never their priority. I was just their comfort. But here's where everything shifts. The moment you stop expecting from people is the moment you start becoming powerful. And while they thought I disappeared, I was preparing for something bigger. Something they could never imagine. There's a different kind of confidence. The one that doesn't speak. The one that doesn't prove. The one that just becomes. Months later, I stood in a place no one expected me to be. A penthouse. High above the city. High above the noise. High above the people who thought I had nothing. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel heavy. I didn't feel used. I didn't feel invisible. I felt free. Not because of money, but because of independence. Because I no longer needed anyone's permission to exist. People think success is about showing off. But real success, it's peace. It's control. It's choosing yourself without guilt. And the most powerful part, no one saw it coming. Because I never announced it. I just built it. Meanwhile, back in that house, reality started hitting them. Bills. responsibilities, pressure. And suddenly, the life they thought was easy didn't feel so easy anymore. Because here's the truth. Taking something is easy. Maintaining it is hard. And that's when my silence started speaking louder than any words. It doesn't arrive with noise. It doesn't knock on your door. It creeps in, slowly, quietly. And by the time you feel it, it's already too late. Months had passed. My life had changed in ways no one could have predicted. Not loudly. Not publicly. But deeply. Every morning, I woke up in a space that was mine. No tension. No expectations. No walking on eggshells. Just peace. And if you've never experienced real peace, let me tell you something. It's addictive. Because once you taste a life where you don't have to shrink yourself, you can never go back to a life where you do. I had built a rhythm. A routine. A version of myself that didn't revolve around anyone else's approval. And that was my real success. But while I was growing, something else was happening. Back in that house. At first, they felt powerful. Confident. Certain. After all, they got what they wanted. The house. The control. The illusion of independence. But illusions don't last long. Reality always shows up. And when it does, it doesn't ask for permission. Bills started piling up. Responsibilities increased. Pressure grew. And suddenly, that easy life didn't feel so easy anymore. Because here's a truth most people ignore. It's easy to inherit something. It's hard to sustain it. The same walls that once felt like victory started feeling heavy, demanding, unforgiving. And slowly, cracks began to appear. Not in the house, but in their confidence. Meanwhile, I was watching from a distance. Not out of revenge. Not out of anger. But out of awareness. Because when you detach emotionally, you start seeing everything clearly. Then one day, it happened. The moment reality finally reached him. He heard about me. Not from me, but from others. From whispers. From conversations he wasn't part of. From people who said, "She's doing really well. She moved into a penthouse. She looks different." Different. That word stayed with him. Because deep down, he knew what it meant. It didn't mean I had changed for the worse. It meant I had evolved. And suddenly, the narrative he believed in started collapsing. The woman he thought needed him didn't. The woman he thought had nothing had everything she needed. And just like that, his certainty turned into confusion. You see, there's a moment in life when people realize they misjudged you. And that moment, it's uncomfortable. Because it forces them to confront their own mistakes. Days later, he reached out. Not with the same tone. Not with the same confidence. But with hesitation. Uncertainty. A softness that wasn't there before. And when I saw his name on my phone, for a second, time slowed down. Memories came back. The good ones. The painful ones. The moments I once held onto. But something inside me stayed still. Calm. Grounded. Unmoved. Because healing does that to you. It doesn't erase your past, but it changes your reaction to it. I didn't rush to respond. I didn't feel the need to explain. Because for the first time, I wasn't emotionally dependent on that connection. And that is power. Eventually, we spoke. His voice wasn't the same. It didn't carry authority anymore. It carried something else. Regret. He tried to explain. Tried to justify. Tried to soften what had already been done. But here's something important. Some actions don't need explanations. They need acceptance. I listened. Not as the mother who once tolerated everything, but as a woman who now understood her worth. And in that conversation, I realized something deeply important. Growth changes your language. Before, I would have responded with emotion, with attachment, with a need to fix things. But now, I responded with clarity, with boundaries, with self-respect. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't accuse him. I didn't even revisit the pain. Because I wasn't there to relive the past. I was there to honor who I had become. He expected warmth. He expected familiarity. Maybe even forgiveness in its old form. But what he got was distance. Respectful. Calm. But firm. Because here's the truth. Forgiveness doesn't always mean reconnect ion. Sometimes, it just means letting go, without reopening the door. And that's where most people struggle. They think healing means going back. It doesn't. Healing means moving forward. Without carrying the same weight. I wasn't angry at him. Not anymore. Because anger keeps you tied to the past. And I had already moved beyond it. But I also wasn't the same woman. The one who ignored red flags. The one who tolerated disrespect. The one who stayed silent out of fear. That version of me was gone. In her place stood someone stronger. Someone clearer. Someone who knew exactly what she deserved. And what she would never accept again. That conversation ended. Not with drama. Not with closure in the traditional sense. But with understanding. He understood. That access to me was no longer guaranteed. And I understood. That my peace was no longer negotiable. And in that moment, I felt something powerful. Not victory. Not revenge. But freedom. Because real freedom is not about what you gain. It's about what you no longer allow. And as I stood by my window that night, looking at the city lights below, I smiled. Not because of what I had, but because of who I had become. The biggest transformation in your life will not come with noise. It won't come with applause. And it definitely won't come with permission. It will come quietly. In the moment you finally decide. Enough is enough. By the time everything settled. By the time the conversations ended. By the time the past stopped pulling me back. I realized something that changed me forever. I didn't just lose people. I lost illusions. The illusion that love automatically means respect. The illusion that sacrifice guarantees loyalty. The illusion that staying silent will make people value you. And when those illusions break, it hurts. But it also frees you. Because now, you finally see the truth. Not the version you hoped for. Not the version you imagined. but the reality that was always there. And truth. Truth is uncomfortable. But it's also powerful. Because once you see it, you can finally make real decisions. For the first time in my life, I wasn't reacting anymore. I wasn't adjusting anymore. I wasn't shrinking anymore. I was choosing. Every single day. Choosing peace over chaos. Choosing respect over attachment. Choosing growth over comfort. And let me tell you something clearly. Those choices, they change your entire life. I started noticing small things. The way I walked. The way I spoke. The way I thought. Everything was different. Not because I was trying to prove something, but because I had nothing left to prove. That's a different kind of confidence. The kind that doesn't seek attention. The kind that doesn't need validation. The kind that simply exists. People started noticing. Of course they did. Energy like that. It doesn't stay hidden forever. But this time, I didn't care. Not in a cold way, but in a free way. Because I wasn't living for their opinions anymore. I was living for my own alignment. And that's where most people get stuck. They build their entire life around being accepted, around being liked, around being needed. But here's the truth. The moment you stop needing approval is the moment you start becoming unstoppable. I looked back at everything that happened. The funeral. The silence. The demand. The departure. The distance. And I didn't feel pain anymore. I felt gratitude. Because every moment, even the painful ones, led me here. To a place where I know exactly who I am. And once you know that, life becomes simple. Not easy, but clear. You stop chasing people who don't choose you. You stop explaining yourself to those who don't understand you. You stop holding on to things that are already gone. Instead, you build. You grow. You evolve. And slowly, your life starts reflecting your standards, not your fears. Let me tell you something most people don't talk about. Growth can feel lonely. There will be moments when you look around and realize you've outgrown people, places, versions of your own past. And that can feel heavy at first. But then, you understand something powerful. You're not losing connection. You're making space. Space for better relationships. Better opportunities. Better versions of yourself. And that space, that's where your real life begins. I no longer feared being alone. Because I had built something stronger than any relationship. A connection with myself. And once you have that, no one can take it away. No one can manipulate it. No one can replace it. That is real security. Not money. Not status. Not approval. But self-trust. So if you're listening to this right now, and you feel like life has taken something from you, listen carefully. It didn't take it. It revealed it. It revealed who stands with you. Who respects you. Who values you. And who doesn't. And that clarity. That's your power. Don't ignore it. Don't run from it. Don't try to fix what is already broken beyond repair. Use it. Use it to rebuild your standards. Use it to protect your peace. Use it to create a life that aligns with who you truly are. Because at the end of the day, this is your life, not theirs. You don't need to prove your worth. You need to recognize it. You don't need to chase respect. You need to demand it through your boundaries. You don't need to hold on to people. You need to hold on to your values. And once you do that, everything changes. One day, without warning, you'll wake up and realize you're not the same person anymore. You're stronger, clearer, calmer, unshakable. And the best part, you built that version of yourself. Piece by piece. Decision by decision. That's your real victory. Not the house. Not the money. Not the penthouse. But the person you became along the way. So stand up. Choose yourself. And never apologize for it. Because the moment you start choosing yourself is the moment your life truly begins. And remember, your silence was never weakness. It was preparation. Your pain was never the end. It was transformation. Your loss was never empty. It was space for something greater. Now it's your turn. To rise. To rebuild. To redefine your life. Because your story is far from over. It's just getting started. If this message spoke to you, if you felt even one line hit your heart, then don't ignore that feeling. Take action. Right now. Like this video. Because someone else needs to hear this. Subscribe to the channel. Because this is where real stories create real change. And in the comments, write this. I choose myself. Not for me, but for you. So you never forget this moment. And if you've made it till the end, just know this. You're not here by accident. Something inside you is ready to change. Ready to grow. Ready to rise. Trust it. Act on it. And never look back. I'll see you in the next story. Until then, stay strong. Stay silent when needed. And keep building. Because your comeback is already in motion.